Hello, howdy, hi, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Grace, and this is a series on my channel called Artist Diaries, where we sit down together once a week-ish, and I talk to you about my life throughout the week as someone who is trying to become a full-time artist. So yeah, let's get into it. This week has been full of a lot of ups and downs. If you are familiar with my channel and you've watched a few of my videos, which is maybe like 2 of you, then you know that I am in the process of figuring out moving away to New York. And the deadline for that is coming up because my lease is about to end. So it's been a lot of stress, but also today I took some time and like really kind of looked at my finances and looked at my timeline and realized that I'm in a much better position than I thought I was. Not that I thought I was in a bad position. I don't think it's wise to move to a brand new city if you're in a really bad position, like financially. And I wouldn't recommend that to anyone. But I knew that I was in like an okay place to be doing this. But today I like looked at my accounts and everything and realized that like, no, like I'm actually gonna be fine. It should all work out. Fingers crossed. But it just helped ease some of my anxiety on that situation. But more so, I think I've had a lot of emotional anxiety around moving, less than like the financial anxiety, which is a blessing. But yeah, I've lived in Atlanta now for about 5 years, and in Georgia for almost 10, which is crazy. I'm not originally from here. I'm from like Western Washington. So I'm not uh unaccustomed, I guess, to a big move. I've done that before and um it was fine. But I think in all of the moves that I've done previously in my life, like moving across the country for college and then moving here from Savannah, I've had sort of a safety net built into it. And like, I had college, right? When I moved to Savannah, that was built into that move. Anyway, and when I moved here to Atlanta, I also had the safety net because I have some family that lives here. So it wasn't like I was doing it all on my own or like that there would be no structure around it. I have some like acquaintances that I know from college or friends, I guess, like, but not people that I'm super close with, that live in New York. And I plan on reaching out to them very soon. But other than that, I really don't know much as far as like people there. And I also don't have a job lined up, which would be, nice. Not ideal for me, but ideal for a lot of people. I think a lot of people would think like, oh, you're moving to New York and you don't have a job lined up. That's crazy. And it is. But that's part of the process that I'm going into this with. And so, all of that to be said, basically, I am approaching this in a way that I have not approached a move before, where I'm like mumbling a little bit, sorry about that. But basically, I am approaching it where I have to build that sort of safety net and structure for myself, instead of like relying on a job or a school or something like that already set up, or family. And that's hard and it's really scary, and I've been anxious about it and I've been sad about it, and I've like spiraled a little bit and been like, what am I doing? I shouldn't do this. I can just stay here. I'll figure out how to be happy here. And I could figure out how to be happy in Atlanta. I mean, I'm not like depressed or anything in Atlanta right now. Like, honestly, Atlanta has been pretty good to me in the last year and a half, 2 years. And I do have a lot of friends and family here that I love and will miss dearly, but it's also, they're gonna be here. And New York is also gonna be there, but I've come to this decision that like I am in my mid 20s and I'm not getting younger. Not that 30s is old, right? I don't think so. But the older you get, the more you could have bigger responsibilities, essentially. And I was actually talking to a woman from my church earlier this last month in February, yeah. And she loves her life. Let me preface this with that. She has a lovely life and she's very happy. But she was saying that they had moved to Atlanta like right after they got married when they were in their early 20s. And they always thought, oh, we'll probably like go somewhere else. But then they had kids and then their kids were in school here. And then they thought, oh, well, when they graduate, we'll move after that. But then they had jobs and their jobs were here. And so then that's 30 years of your life in the same place. And if you have all those things and you really do adore the place anyway, I think that that's great. I don't love living in Atlanta. I like it. It's fine. And I have lots of friends and family. But I know that I have always wanted to go to New York. And so it just makes sense to me to take this risk for at least a year, maybe two, and go somewhere else that has been a dream for me for a long time and see how it goes. And hopefully I love it. And if I don't love it, I'll figure it out and go somewhere else. So yeah, that's kind of my spiel about like why I'm moving to New York and how I've sort of dealt with some of the stress, because I don't want to get myself in a position where I never tried living in New York and I never took this big, crazy, scary risk. And then I stayed in a place that was just like meh for too long. So anyway, another way that I've sort of combated my frustration around like all of this, like my anxiety and spiraling brain, has been this journal. I got this earlier this week, last week, yeah, on Sunday. And it has been helpful to me in this week as far as like feeling like I'm able to make grounded steps in this moving process and not feeling like I'm like just winging it completely. And I am winging it completely, but I think there's a difference between like taking a massive leap without forethought and like, you know, just kind of checking out the edge of the cliff and seeing like, okay, how do I climb down to the bottom of that? Where are there footholds and stuff like that? If you have ever been climbing, you get that reference. Anyway, reference? Analogy. Whatever. This is my little journal for New York, and I have this beautiful page. It's like my New York life. And so I'm sort of treating it, I basically was at Paper Source and I saw this guided journal for like, how do you want your life to be in 6 months or something like that. And I thought that was really cute, but it was like $45 and also like not super exactly what I wanted. And I thought, why don't I just make one for myself? So I got this blank journal that is gorgeous and it says begin again, which is kind of what I'm doing. And so I decided that I would go into it and kind of create my own guided journal. So I made this page here, and everything that you see in black, and I don't think you can read my handwriting, so I'm totally fine showing it. But everything that you see in black is like the guided journal parts, and then the green is my responses to that. And so, yeah, I basically had some questions like, why am I moving to New York? What excites me most about this move? What scares me most? what am I interested in doing when I get there, stuff like that. Um, a sort of manifestation-y thing of like, what would a day in New York look like? I'm not very like woo-woo, if that makes sense. I'm a little woo-woo, but I'm not super into the woo-woo stuff. And so manifestation always feels a little bit silly to me, but I do think as someone who tends towards anxiety and depression and will let those negative thoughts not only be the easiest thoughts that come to my mind, but also the ones that spiral out of control. I think that taking a minute to pause and just imagine like the best version of how things could go is really like emotionally calming and grounding, because I wrote out this like day of what I want my average day in New York to be like, and it's very chill. It's a very chill day. It's a very plausible day. And I think that was helpful to do because it made me realize like all of these things are mostly like me, but just in a different setting, and in a setting where I will be more free to like explore myself and my goals as like I pursue art in a really like intense way. And so yeah, that's part of what's been helpful for me this week. And then I'm gonna do sort of like a weekly planner situation in the back half here. So this has been really fun. And I love stationery and writing and stuff like that. So that's been awesome for me. And then, okay. Sorry, I'm like thinking as I'm talking to you guys. And again, if you're newer here and you haven't watched any of my videos before, then you know that this is a very unedited form. Which, speaking of, I'm a little bit anxious that my battery's gonna die and or I'm gonna run out of storage. So you hold on one second, and I think I might actually put in a little cut here because I have to check my phone. Fantastique! You are still here and I am still here and all is well. Okay, give me a sec. I'm gonna take a sip of my beverage. This is Twinings Irish breakfast tea and an English breakfast tea that I stole from work, and I combined them. And I put in the Trader Joe's brown sugar oat milk creamer. And if you haven't had that, you should get it because it's literally heaven. It's my favorite thing. So good. Anyways, let's get back into it. I am trying to build like sorry, I'm gonna cut. Okay, I'm trying to build a sense of like, yes, some security into my move. And part of that for me is that I want to take a summer intensive acting program when I move there. So if you're not an actor, but you're still here for the journey, a summer intensive is basically like taking a college semester or like a mini semester. There's so many sirens happening and I don't think you can hear them, but I can. But it's like taking a mini semester course at a university or a conservatory, which is like a really intense college-like program for arts. There are conservatories for music or dance or acting or probably lots of other things too, but the way they differ from like a college or a university program is usually that it's less than 4 years, and typically you're not really like taking other kinds of classes. Like you don't have your base core classes. It's like you are focused on the art and that's what you're doing there. Sometimes they offer like a BFA and sometimes they don't. But this wouldn't be a full conservatory program. This would just be a summer thing that could be anywhere from like 5 to 9 weeks long. Excuse me, I'm gonna do a lot of cuts in this video, which I don't really like, but I'm just like crazy right now. But the one that I applied to this week was the Stella Adler Studio. I'm really excited about it. This is my number one on my list of intensive programs. Last week I made a what do you call it? A spreadsheet to like explain what all of the conservatories were and how expensive they were and what classes they offered and all sorts of things like that. And so this week I went ahead and put in my first application and auditions for the Stella Adler program. And it's my number one because they have a specifically like musical theater. Gosh, there's just like sounds happening outside. I'm gonna try to ignore it. I'm so sorry. But they specifically have a musical theater summer intensive, and that was really interesting to me because I love musical theater. I want to be in musical theater, but I haven't had as much musical theater experience as I would have liked. I did a lot of it when I was in high school, and I took some classes when I was in college, but I haven't like been in a musical in a hot minute. And I think part of that is because I get stressed during auditions. And part of it is because when I moved to Atlanta, I really was focusing on film. And so I haven't been auditioning for a ton of musicals here in Atlanta. So yeah, I want to stretch that muscle a little bit more. I want to give myself an opportunity to really focus on that as an aspect, as an aspect of my art and my craft as an actor. So I basically went online, found their application, filled out the application, paid my application fee, and then they were like, okay, give us 2 songs and a monologue. I had been working on some monologues for a minute, and then last fall I took a class that was like specifically singing, like acting through song. And so I had a song from that class that I sang. And then I also had a song from when I was in college that I sang. And I think I did okay. I got an interview. I think maybe everyone gets an interview, but I got an interview and it's scheduled for next week. So I'm really excited for that. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm really hopeful, because if I got this one, it would be so awesome. And also then I wouldn't have to apply to a bunch of other ones, which, not that I'm not excited for other ones too, but this is just like my number one. Part of that audition process, there's a fur in my mouth. Part of the audition process was really stressful for me because I get really like self-conscious when I sing in front of people that I know. And that sounds so strange, but it's so true. I get mad anxious singing in front of people that I know, and I'm trying to break myself out of that. And part of that has been last week, I think I talked about like I went to the park and I sang. And again, it's strangers, so it wasn't like I went to the park and I sang with my guitar, and I was like mildly nervous. But I wasn't as nervous as I get when like my roommate or my dad or my brother is in the room. I don't know why. It bothers me when it's people that I know in like a casual setting. It makes me so anxious. But yeah, so I was really stressed during filming this audition because like at one point my roommate did come home, which is valid. She lives here. But like knowing that she was home, even though I knew she was like wearing headphones and like watching a movie or whatever, it made me so anxious. But I was like, you know what? I just have to film this and I have to get it done. And I have to find a way to like enjoy it because my character is enjoying it. My character is having a great time. So I need to be having a great time. And so, yeah, I sang my songs, I got the auditions in, And I do think I did pretty good on my monologue. Hopefully. I'm honestly also such a bad judge of my own work when it comes to acting. I think I'm like, I know I'm good, but am I like that good? I don't really know. Um, and when I watch myself back, I just get overly critical. So it's hard to gauge. I think really, if you're an actor who struggles with this, especially with like self tapes being so common, I think the best thing to do is to give yourself a time limit on how long you're going to be filming for and go with the one that felt the best. Because ultimately, like, in the moment, you're not going to have as many options. And if you're doing theater, right, you just have to be so locked in that you give the best performance that you can. And it's going to feel good or it's not going to feel good. And then the moment is done and it's over, right? And if you're doing film, you just have to give the best few performances that you can. And someone else is going to make the decision on whether or not it was good. So, like, I don't know. I think trying to judge yourself, once you're past this point of like really early learning, is just probably not worth it. I think you probably just need to do the takes and see what you like best, or like not see what you like best, but feel what you like best and just send that one. So that's how I approached those auditions. Now let me tell you how I approached this other audition. I can't tell you a lot about it. It's a secret. Basically, it's a commercial for a big company. And I can't say what the company is, and I can't really say too much about it except that they wanted me to dance. And they gave no direction on what kind of dance. Here's some choreography. Like, literally nothing. They were like, dance. And I was like, okay. And I got some dance experience. It's been a minute since I've really danced. And I also get really anxious about dancing. It's funny, these are things that I like really love. I love dancing and I love singing. But they're also things, maybe because I love them so much, that I feel very anxious and self-conscious about sometimes. And so, yeah, they were like, dance. And I was like, okay. So today, literally before I filmed this, I realized like my roommate's not home. The lighting is decent. I've kind of choreographed a little bit of a dance to the beginning of this random song that they gave me. And I don't think I'm going to have the time or energy later in this weekend to film this audition. So I'm not going to try to choreograph the last half of it. I'm just going to film it and kind of improv the end of it. And just, yeah, that's it. And so I did, I think, 3 takes. And the last one felt okay, and I was smiling for most of it. And so I sent it in. And we'll see. If I got it, that would be amazing. Because it's, again, quite a big company. And I would really be excited to have a commercial. But at the same time, if I don't get it, I won't be very upset about it because I really was like, I just need to film it. And I think part of being an actor who's like working is recognizing that sometimes you just have to film an audition and get it in, because I think if you know that you're doing the best that you can in the moment and you're consistently showing up, that is better than to say like, yeah, I'll do this audition and then flake out because you're not feeling good. You know what I mean? And I think that's the temptation. The temptation was to be like, I don't feel like doing this. I'm not sure what they're looking for. I'm just gonna like call it quits. But I don't think that that shows up well. And I think that that gives you like a flaky vibe, and that's not good to have. So I didn't want to give a flaky vibe. I wanted to just make sure that I tried, and that's all you can really do. And so yeah, that's kind of the theme for today, is like sometimes you just have to take the steps and put them into action and see what you can do from it. And that's how I'm kind of approaching the move, and that's how I've been approaching my auditions. Other things going on. Oh, I'm singing at church this week, which is really exciting. I've already done it once. That was something that was making me very anxious when I did it last month. But it turned out all right. And also the church I go to like has, it's not like mega churchy, but it does have like lights. So I couldn't really like see people when I was singing. So that was cool because I don't like to actually really see people when I'm performing. I'm realizing I have a lot of like weird hangups around performing, which is like not ideal for an actor, but like I think a lot of actors do. So yeah, that's kind of what I've got for you this week. I'm not sure that there's anything else majorly on my mind. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a great week. I hope this was interesting to you and helpful and maybe a little inspirational. Love ya. Bye.